Well, welcome to Focus Today, and well, I tell you what, I have in my hand here a book that you want to get your hands on. It's entitled Emancipating the World, A Christian Response to Radical Islam and Fundamentalist Atheism, and it's authored by Darrell Miller and put out by YWAM Publications. And let me encourage you to check it out at online, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, or you can go to ywampublishing.com and get a copy of the book. Darrell is author of this book, and he's also the co-founder of Disciples Nations Alliance. He's also worked with Food for the Hungry for over 3 decades. He has studied under Francis Schaeffer, and I think you're going to find our conversation together today to be pretty fascinating. Darrell, nice to have you with us today.
It's good to be with you. Thanks a lot.
Where are we Skyping you in from? Where are you?
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, okay, then you're down where it's starting to warm up pretty good down there.
Yes, we've actually had a couple of nice days, more like springtime, but we've been in the hundreds already. So.
All right. Well, this is a fascinating work, and thank you for your dedication to this. But you do tie a connection between the threat of Islam and atheism. Are they related?
Yeah, there is a thread between them. I think both radical Islam and the fundamentalist atheism really hate Judeo-Christian values. And so that is a commonality. But the thing that I think is most significant is that Islam really hates the exportation of our moral license from this nation through the media, through our music, through movies, through television. And they don't want their world polluted with the immoral not only lifestyle, but the promotion of immorality of the United States. So it's at those 2 points that radical Islam and fundamentalist atheism are connected.
All right. Now, we have seen the UK with regret now say we shouldn't have allowed Sharia law to take hold the way it has, and the threat of that coming to the United States now is impending. Maybe it's already here. I don't know. You have said in your book that we are no longer one nation under God, but maybe 2 nations sharing the same territory. That's quite a statement.
Well, I think it's true. If you think of this nation at its founding, it had a moral vision that was based on Judeo-Christian principles and a Judeo-Christian worldview. That moral vision has died within half the population of the United States, and it's been replaced by an atheistic and materialistic vision that dominates the other half, and there's a battle for the soul of America right now. So we are one geography, as it were, but we have 2 different moral visions, and it's the moral vision, not the geography, that does more to shape the identity of a nation. So this is why I would argue we are at a tipping point within our nation, and if the church doesn't wake up, we will have lost this battle of ideas and ideals.
Darrell, even this morning on our news, we had a story where the ACLU now is going after all of the crosses at memorial cemeteries and even military cemeteries around the country, even Arlington, where you see those thousands of crosses on the landscape and the hillside there as being a Christian symbol. To me, I asked a question to our audience earlier this morning: how can the faith community stand on the sidelines any longer and allow this kind of stuff to happen?
Well, we shouldn't be. But the issue is not this issue of the crosses. The issue is not the issue of abortion or homosexual marriage. These are all symptoms of a larger issue. And that is, we have abandoned the biblical worldview in the United States for an atheistic and secular worldview. And the church has largely been complacent in this. We've sat on the sideline and have not been engaged in our culture and in society. So you're going to find, when I was a young man, atheism wanted the freedom of religion and they wanted to have a level playing field. But modern atheism, the new atheists, do not want a level playing field. They want no religion in the marketplace, and they want to dominate the marketplace with atheistic and materialistic ideas. And the church has too often complied by privatizing our faith and keeping our faith in our homes and in our worship on Sunday mornings, and have withdrawn from the culture and the marketplace.
All right, so are we abandoning the Great Commission? I mean, we don't seem to be changing things. Is the passion for the Great Commission a part of us or not?
I think we have in the modern church a misunderstanding of the Great Commission. We have reduced the Great Commission to what my friend Bob Moffat calls the Greek Commission of simply saving souls for heaven. We need to preach the gospel and see people come to Christ. That is fundamental. We need to plant churches. That is fundamental. But it is not the end of the Great Commission. As Matthew's gospel says in Matthew 28:18 through 20, the Great Commission is to make disciples of all nations. The gospel is to penetrate culture, and it is to have an impact on all areas of society. The founders of the United States understood this, and they built a system of governance based on a biblical framework and biblical principle. We as Christians today see the Great Commission as professional missionaries going overseas to do evangelism and church planting, and we have largely lost the majority of the church to the Great Commission. So we need to have a revival of the biblical understanding of what is the nature of the Great Commission, and this is the heart of the book.
Well, therefore, America now has become the great mission field. I mean, what we do here at the Dove through radio and television, we consider ourselves media missionaries, but America needs to be evangelized again.
We do, and we need to be evangelized and discipled at the level of culture. It's not just enough to disciple young Christians to be spiritual. We need to disciple them to think biblically and function from a biblical paradigm.
So what has happened to our message in the church in America? Now, I realize outside there's a lot of missionary work going on, and it's doing a great thing. But inside, we have seemed to turn it into some kind of a machine for money. And I say that respectfully, but in Christian broadcasting, we're seen as nothing more than money grabbers. And it's really hard to get past that to literally evangelize people.
Well, I think what you're seeing is the church in so many areas. We profess Christ, but we function from the same materialistic paradigm as our culture. Francis Schaeffer years ago preached a sermon called The Lord's Work and the Lord's Way. And today what we tend to do is the Lord's work in the world's way, because we are part of our modern culture. We tend to be Sunday Christians, but not Monday Christians. And we live in this sacred secular dichotomy in our minds and in our lives, so we function as Christians in the religious area, in church, at Bible studies and at prayer meetings, but we don't function as Christians on Monday in the marketplace.
All right, let's come back to some of the symptoms, and I know that there's symptoms that are a result of the greater problem that you pointed out earlier, but, you know, Darrell, a marriage is under attack in the United States, and if we redefine it, we're in big trouble, and yet 30 states now have amended their state constitution to define marriage between a man and a woman. 3 times it's been attempted in California, but somehow got overturned in the courts. Where do you see this battle going?
Well, I think we need to fight that battle. There's no question. But unless we fight the battle at the level of the ideas behind the legislation that's being produced, we will lose. In other words, we are not hearing much from the pulpit any longer about the sacredness of marriage and the covenantal relationship between a man and a woman. If you look at the lifestyle of young evangelical Christians, it is about the same in terms of premarital sex. It's almost the same in the evangelical community as it is in the society as a whole. This is tragic. So we need to fight these battles, but we also need to fight them at the root level, at the level of worldview, and begin to teach and preach from Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 about the nature of what it means to be a man and a woman, why God created us, the nature of family, and how the family is the bedrock of society. Until Christians believe this, we can work on the legislation, but we're not going to have the moral vision for driving this forward in the nation again.
Well, whether it's radical Islam, atheism, same-sex marriages, killing the preborn, how do we fight without being seen as bigoted?
Part of it is we need to demonstrate the love of God into the brokenness of our world. There were some friends of mine in the Philippines, Christians who were in a militant area of the Philippines where the jihadists were trying to kill Christians and force them off the island. The army came in, the Philippine army came in and destroyed the jihadi communities, their villages. And the Christians went into those jihadi villages and said, "We want to help you rebuild your homes." That is demonstrating the love of God. And we as Christians need to demonstrate God's love, not just speak about his love. And Rodney Stark, who wrote the profound book, The Rise of Christianity, said that the reason that Christianity was able to overcome the Roman world was because she had a better set of ideas, and that the Word became flesh in the lives of the Christians. And that fleshing out of the Word began to restructure the society and the institutions of Rome. We need to do the same in our generation.
Well said. So in essence, what do you want people to get from your book, Darrell?
I would hope that they would have a restoration in their minds of the Great Commission, that it is for all Christians to be involved in the Great Commission, and that they are to take the Great Commission into their workplaces, into the marketplace, and pray for and work for the transformation of our society.
The book is entitled Emancipating the World, a Christian Response to Radical Islam and Fundamentalist Atheism by Darrell Miller. You can see it there. It's put out by YWAM Publications. I'm sure you can take a look at it on Barnes & Noble or Amazon.com. Or you can go to ywampublishing.com and get a copy of it. Darrell, fascinating work. Thank you for your passion and your conviction of doing this. Keep up the good work, and we'll get you back soon.
Thank you very much. It's been good being with you and your listeners.
All right, God bless you. All right, we'll be right back on Focus Today.
Airport, the only name you need to know.
This is the second car we bought at Airport.
Of course I check prices online, and that's how I know I got a great deal.
We bought our car here because they cared about our needs.
I don't need to shop other dealerships because I know I get a good deal at Airport.
For the greenest of lawns and amazing gardens.
The Grange knows.
For happy pets, backyard birds, and that perfect gift.
The Grange knows.
For the ranch and the farm. Or a great pair of jeans.
The Grange knows.
For helpful advice, come to the experts that know, or find Floyd online anytime. Grange Co-op.
Let's grow.
Medford Construction, a leader in the construction industry. From concept to completion, we will deliver to you the highest quality workmanship at the lowest price possible. Our design build team will complete your project on time and on budget. Give us a call for an evaluation on making your home more user-friendly for special needs and the elderly. For great prices without sacrificing quality, give Medford Construction a call or visit us at medfordconstruction.com.
Eric Stackleback.
Whether it's the jihad against Israel and America,
there's a great concern about the Iranian-backed Hezbollah.
Terrorism, the rise of Islam, war in the Middle East.
The idea of Israel taking over Palestine even adds to that fuel.
Do you ever get the feeling that none of it is a coincidence?
Get a unique perspective on the news not seen anywhere else on Stackleback.
And it's something I'm going to be talking a lot more about in the weeks and months to come.
Stackleback, 7:30 tomorrow on the Dove TV.
There's only one dealership I'd recommend, and that's Airport.
Airport supports our community, and that's why I support them.
This is the second car I bought here because of the great service.
Being from Gold Beach, it's real helpful that the service department's open on Saturdays.
Airport, the only name you need to know.
You know, so often we hear about the ministries and the needs of assistance in India. I had really an honor a couple of days ago to interview here in the studio with me Nitin Sardar. He is the director of the Din Bandhu Ministries there in India. That term stands for Friend of the Poor. His own testimony, his own story, and now his ministry is further evidence of what I've often said on the air: whatever God saves you from or brings you through, He usually turns you around and makes you a minister too. Well, that certainly is the case with Nitin. So join me now as we had that conversation earlier here in the studio. Well, today we are delighted to have a very special guest in the studio all the way from India. And we are talking to Nitin Sardar. Is that right?
Yes, you're right.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Nice to have you.
Good
and you are the director of the Din Bandhu, which is a ministry right there in India working with children and families. And it's a fascinating story, but what really makes... First of all, what is the ministry? What do you do there?
We are planting churches in unreached people group of India. We are working especially with poor people. We call Din Bandhu means friend of the poor.
Friend of the poor.
Where we serve people. We do a lot of foot washing. We do caste reconciliation. We translated Bible in 2 languages. Working with 53 different people group in 10 different languages.
Whoa, that's a busy schedule. But your own story is quite remarkable. Tell us how you were raised and how you came to Christ.
I want to thank the churches in America because they are the one who sent a missionary to our area. My grandma, who was not Christian, her 11 children got miscarriage. And the missionary lady came and prayed with her, and my dad and my aunt were saved. And her favorite psalm was Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. And that was her prayer throughout her years. She was illiterate, but she was knowing the Savior, the Lord. And my parents were Christian after that, and I raised up in a Christian environment. But my personal testimony, it was because of the situation and the poverty we have seen in India and the caste system, it was very hard for me to think that when I'm going to prosper, when I'm going to be successful, and I develop a picture in my mind that God is good God, but in front of there's a big queue, big line, and many people are waiting for him in order to get blessing from him. And so I used to always picture myself end of the line. By the time I will grow old, weak, and then my number will come, and then God will ask me what you want. By that time, my life will be in.
Wow.
That picture, I don't know from where I got, but I developed that over the years, and I wanted to commit suicide. So one day morning, I was not knowing swimming. I went in a big well and jumped inside, writing very good letter to my mom and dad for their tender and care, the things they provided to me. But I was seeing so much hopelessness in my area and the poverty that bothered me too much. And somehow God protected me. He took me out of that well. I was sitting, I jumped inside the well.
How far down was that?
It was a big well.
Wow.
maybe 60, 70 feet down. And somehow somebody pushed me, and I found myself sitting on a rock. And by that time, I got up. I was in school uniform, looking everywhere, and nobody was there. And I was at the letter I wrote to my dad and mom. I tore down and started walking towards my home. At that time, I prayed to the Lord, and I was knowing that only God could have saved me. And I said, Lord, I want to thank you. I will never commit suicide, but Lord, make me a man who will give. I don't want to be beggar. I don't want to be asking people, but I want to be giver.
Wow.
And that whole story.
But your whole culture is begging, isn't it?
I'm not asking people, but because the God we have in India, they are demanding. 33 million God and goddess who always ask, and 365 days are not enough to worship of those God. So India is poor, not because the Creator God didn't give enough resources to India.
Wow.
India is poor because our gods are poor. They are demanding. Festival and worship comes with the pressure, community pressure, and you spend all your hard-earned money. And you don't know when the pressure from the community comes on you that every week there is a festival and that it compels you to spend hard-earned money.
So, God protected you from committing suicide?
Yes.
And as you're walking away from that situation, what did you feel in your heart?
I feel God has given me a new life. He has given me vision for my people and my nation. He has blessed me with wonderful wife, children, and powerful ministry. I get a chance to baptize people, those who are 95, 96, 98 year old.
Wow.
Those who have seen more life than me.
Wow.
They are more knowledgeable than me, better people. But God uses to minister to them. And I have seen a lot of people ministered by the Lord. I have seen a lot of miracles where God provided for people. God healed people. I have not seen a dead man being raised, but I have seen many other miracles that can glorify God. Miraculous provision. Many people got healed.
So, from the time God saved you from when you attempted suicide, how old were you then?
I was 16 years.
16.
Yeah.
And then you felt the call of God.
Yes.
Did you go to some kind of training or anything, or Bible school?
I finished my graduation in commerce degree.
Oh, commerce, okay.
And then I was working as a contractor for National Highway, making tar road.
Oh.
My father caught in accident and he lost his right leg.
Oh.
Then I felt I need to change my direction, and I went to YWAM, Youth with a Mission, for training. I ended up doing a lot of school there, and I felt like God is telling me to work for His kingdom. Prior to that, I was a personal secretary to the tribal minister of Maharashtra state, and when I was serving him, he accused Christian missionary for disturbing tribal culture.
Really?
And I thought about my own life, my grandma, and how she came to know the Lord. It hurted me badly. I resigned from that post, and I was very angry and upset man, wanted to resolve that pain and anger. I don't want to burst into anger and do something unwise. So I choose to go to YWAM to just calm myself and learn, be in the Word for some time. And then I end up doing school with biblical studies and leadership training with them. And I went back to my place. And
this is wonderful. What are the consequences of conversion in India to Christianity? Is there some threats on you for being a Christian? Are you considered a traitor?
What happened is Hindu militant, not all the Brahmin, you could say, the people, those who are top in the hierarchy, it is threat to them. For us, it is a privilege to become a Christian and get new identity. When you think about caste system tells the creator God, Brahma God, created people unequally. Some people came from his head, like a Brahmin. From one shoulder came the business people. From another shoulder came the warriors. From creator God's belly came the farmers and employee. From one feet came tribal, and from another feet came untouchable.
Wow.
So this is the creation story of a Brahminical belief system. So when you consider you are coming from leg, it is unimportant. You don't have destiny. You need to live there. So the caste system affect, and you become mental slave to the system.
Yeah.
And you shunt your growth, spiritual growth, mental growth, and cultural growth. And becoming Christian is saying, no, I am child of Most High God. He created me into His own image, and I am loved one, and I have all potential. I am graduate in His school, or I have done postgraduate in His school, that I can go high. And there is no restriction. The sky is limitless because our God is limitless God, and we have limitless success in Him and through Him. If that sense they get connected with the Most High God, and you think you are lower in the caste system, but when you make that connection, your confidence in the Lord get more, and the caste doesn't matter, color doesn't matter, education doesn't matter, because you know the Creator God, Emmanuel God, is with us, and that is a wonderful thing. The system, the spiritual system, Brahminical system doesn't want people to come up. And it is not we are doing something ungodly. We are not bribing anybody.
Right.
We never twist anybody's arm to become a Christian. But because there is no match to Jesus. He's unique God, and there is no match to Him. And because of that, and they cannot produce that kind of God in their literature or their scripture.
Right.
So that is threat to them. When Christianity goes in the rural area, in different caste group, it transforms people spiritually, mentally, and their worldview become better worldview where they can develop.
So now God has called you back into your country, back into your cities, into your culture to basically be a church planter and to minister to the poor.
Yes.
How poor is the poor? I mean, how do we here in the West understand what poor is in India?
Poor means they cannot have 3 meals. Poor means they don't have options for the education. They don't have better schooling, better environment. You can say not having better opportunities in their life to be what God wanted them to be. And it is kind of always there's hindrances before them. There's challenges before them to educate their children, to earn enough. The wages are very low, $2 per day. It is hard sometimes to live on that because the prices of grain and other things are going up. So it is harder.
Wow. All right, let me take a break. We'll be right back, and we're going to continue talking to Nitin Sardar. He's here from India today as an incredible ministry, Din Badu. Is that right?
Yes, you're right.
And that is a friend of the poor as he works and serves there in India. And we'll talk to him more about the actual ministry and what he's doing, and maybe how you can get involved, because he will be speaking this coming Sunday at the Brownsboro Community Church there, and you may want to check that out and go and hear him there as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
I'm a watercolor artist, and I have to take my paintings to galleries everywhere, including the Rogue Gallery and Art Center. So of course, I love my Subaru. I just lay down the back seat and these babies slide right in. I used to drive a Toyota, but my Subaru has more room, is quiet, and gets better highway mileage. I'm Barbara, and that's what makes a Subaru my Subaru.
Southern Oregon Subaru on Biddle Road, Medford.
I love my Subaru.
Hi, I'm Tim the Timinator from Four Seasons Nursery. Thank you for watching and supporting the Dove and Christian Broadcasting. Like the folks at the Dove, we at Four Seasons value honesty, integrity, and quality. So if you're looking for great garden products such as vegetables, flowers, shrubs, or trees, come by and check us out. I'm sure you'll find the success you're looking for.
Four Seasons Nursery, half a mile north of Vilas Road on Crater Lake Avenue.
Hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Why are you still sitting on that couch? You know you could be out there cooking for a living. You speak food. That's why you got to call Le Cordon Bleu. They'll help get you out there with training in less time than you think. Sounds good, right? So grab your phone right now and call Le Cordon Bleu. They'll send you a complimentary career guide so you can see what it's really like to work in the culinary arts.
Call 1-800-761-0650 or text GOLCB25 to 94576. Call or text now.
Did you call yet?
Hello and welcome to the Marriage Course.
Love always means making a sacrifice for the sake of another.
Michelle, age 10, replied, "It is never okay to kiss a boy. They always slobber all over you."
We'll be looking at how any of us can build a healthy marriage, whether you've been together a short time or for many years.
The Marriage Course, Wednesdays at 9 and Fridays at 8 on the Dove TV.
Okay, we're back, and our special guest today is Nitin Sardar. He is the director of the Din Bandhu ministry in India, which it means friend of the poor, and his own story, fascinating to say the least. And it's amazing how what God saves you from, he turns around, makes you a minister too.
Yes.
And so you went off to YWAM, you got your training, you're back now ministering to your own people. And you have churches. How many churches are you overseeing?
We have planted, by the grace of God, more than 700 plus churches.
700 plus, wow. And you're ministering to people at all levels. What is foot washing there? What do you mean by that?
Foot washing, we do more to show that what is their worth in the Lord. I would like to share one story on that. We were celebrating Christmas 13 years back, and we wanted to do something for God. Usually when we celebrate Christmas, we want to eat whatever we want, but we seldom ask question to Jesus what he wants for that Christmas, what is a good gift for him. We don't ask him. For our children, we will buy stuff, toys and clothing and whatever they like. That Christmas, we took a risk asking Jesus, Jesus, what you liked for this Christmas? What is good for your birthday? And we were not sure what to do for that Christmas. We know what program to run, what to do, what to eat. But prior to that, I went to minister in prison, in jail, and I was ministering to people. Because of my press background, I like to study the crime rate of the city. And I found out when I was ministering into jail and seeing the chart of people, I saw 86% crime was committed by 2% community.
Really?
And they were the tiny little community of my city, where most of the criminal born from there and took a knife and vandalized and killing people and stealing and all that. And it bothered me too much. I did research who are those people. And I found they are the scavenger community who clean street and toilets and public places. And I thought, what to do with this? And when I went to my team, I said, this is Christmas time, when the 2% tiny community who is serving community committing this much crime, how can we celebrate Christmas? We need to stop that. So on 24th Eve, we finished our program. And when we prayed, God impressed on our heart that we need to go wash these people's feet.
Wow.
We didn't do in our church very well that, and foot washing was not very much common for us. So we decided to go in that community. We went to see that community. We took balls, towels, sweet, and gas cylinder to make hot water. And when we went inside, the sturdy guys standing at the gate, they said, hey, he's here to make us Christian. And they were knowing a little bit about me, and they were using harsh words and taunting me.
Wow.
When we went inside, I told them that I'm not there to make them Christian, because I cannot. I only demonstrate the love of the Lord for them. And I said, the biggest concern for me is you are doing such a wonderful job in the city, doing menial work, dirty work with your hand, not for 1 day or 2 days, from generation to generation you are doing that. Our cities are beautiful and clean because of your hard work. And God has given you mother heart of God, because mother changed this diaper and maintains smiling face. So God has given you that heart, and you are cleaning the dirt and all the garbage collection and everything, and toilets and the very dirty places you go through. I said, God has given you that. Our bishop won't do this job. Muslim mullah won't do this job. Brahmin priest won't do this job. Or Buddhist monk won't do this job. You are doing from generation to generation. But because in the caste ladder, you are bottom of the caste and you feel you are neglected. You don't have importance. You don't have acceptance. Your destiny is there, and you will be dying there forever.
Wow.
And to show your manhood, you are taking knife, you are taking sword, you are killing people, and this is out of your pain. My prayer this morning for you, that I will wash your feet. My heavenly King will come through Holy Spirit, and He will take away the stain and hurts and wound and unshared pain today. That's my prayer is. I'm not here to make you Christian people. I'm here to love you and demonstrate. So we put 300-400 chairs and hot water and started washing. It took us 5-6 hours to wash all 300-400 people's feet. We put garland. We will give them shawl, put sweet in their mouth, and give them tight hug and tell them that Jesus loved them and cared for them. It was a sobbing and crying experience I never saw in my life, that kind of sobbing.
Wow.
First time somebody's touching their feet and caring, and God the Holy Spirit was there. We did little thing, but God did much more thing in their life. These people, because of their hurt and because of their sturdiness, the strongness, and because of their anger, Hindu militants used to use giving them money to vandalize Christian schools, to persecute people.
Really?
And they will get money to hurt Christian missionaries.
Wow.
And next time when the militant group went and bribed them to persecute Christian, he said, no, we will not persecute Christian because they wash our feet.
Wow.
They loved us.
Wow.
At the end of that foot washing, there was a tall woman. I used to come to the city and sit on the bus station wait for my ride to go back home. There were only 2 buses, one to bring home city and second to take back home. And in between times, this big tall lady used to clean entire bus station with a broom.
Yeah.
And I saw in the public, Mama, are you the same lady who used to clean the entire bus station? She said, how do you know? I said, you are tallest in the community. You are 6 feet tall and you have silver anklet in your ankle. And so she came forward and I bent down and touched her feet that day and asked her, I said, Mama, can you bless me? My God's name is Servant King. He came from heaven to earth, took a birth in a manger, in the stable, and he washed disciples' feet. He loved the leper. The world will not love them but reject them. And his name is Servant King. And I don't have that servant heart which you have. I said, you will you please bless me and anoint me, that I will have that kind of anointing on my life, that for my King of Kings, I will do any menial work, any lowly work, in order to see him lifted up and glorified.
Wow, what a story. What a story. Now, is as the ministry grows and you're serving people, foot washing obviously part of it, how else are you ministering to people? Are you helping with food and medicine and things like that?
We do a lot of borewell. We dug, by the grace of God, 1,200 plus borewell, water well in the different villages.
Really? Yeah.
And our success rate is 95%.
Really?
Because we pray before we do that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether they are Christian or basically new villages, no Christian presence is there. So we invite them and we read 2 Chronicles 7:14 and we ask them to repent for their sin. We lead them in prayer. And we have seen water in hill area, low area where there's a drought. And it is tremendous blessing to see that many people get saved.
You mentioned miracles.
Yes.
You see a lot of miracles. Of course, water wells would be one of them.
Yeah.
Foot washing would be another. But what kind of miracles? Are you seeing healings?
Yes.
Give me a few examples.
Let me tell you first church, how we started.
Okay.
I was newborn baby in the Lord and mission. I used to help OM. Most of my family was with OM, serving on doularship. My brother was in OM. Another sister was in OM, serving Operation Mobilization. And we were blessed by that connection and relationship with them. One day, this Finnish team from Finland came with a motorhome. All the ladies, no gents, on the team, and they drove from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and then India. Months they drove. And when they came, they wanted us to plant churches, and I was knowing how to plant church. So we went in one village named Jam, and we started working there. We started cleaning the babies, giving bath to them, show Jesus movie to them, and some of the nurses were there. They will give medicine to the people those who were sick. A month we were there. People loved us, but never took Jesus from us. Everybody wanted benefit from us, like medicine-wise and health-wise. And we were about to go from that place. One day we were doing intercession with a team member, and the team member felt a vision from the Lord that somebody outside of the village needed our prayer. And then after prayer, we investigated in the village, who is that person? And we found out one leper lady who had a leprosy was kicked out of by the villagers and her family member. And she began to stay herself near jungle, 3-4 kilometers away. So we went with the Finnish team to see this lady. When we went there, she was there in a lonely place, and this Finnish lady didn't ask much question to them, but to clean all her dirty pots, made her bed, and some went to fetch water from the well. And she was ministered by that act, because there was language barrier, and I was only translator with them. So all the things she saw, these angel-looking people for her, white people coming and helping, where her own family member despised her, rejected her. And that ministered to her, and we told Jesus was the first missionary God who cared for leper. He healed all 10, only one came back to thank him. But when we told her, she believed in Jesus, and we prayed. And that afternoon, she accepted the Lord. And soon after that, she heard news from her village. Her granddaughter was very sick. They went to witch doctor, medical doctor, and other goddess. But the baby's situation was getting worse. Her grandchild was getting sick, and she was about to die. And when grandma heard this news, she chose evening time to go and visit her. She went to see her, and she said to her daughter, "Hey daughter, why don't you try this new God I made today?" So her daughter went inside, bought incense and coconut in order to offer to this God. The grandma told her, the leper lady told, this God doesn't need that kind of thing. They didn't ask anything. They just prayed for me. And he came, and I don't feel lonely there. Somebody's walking with me all the time now.
Wow.
So she was not knowing how to minister. So she stretched her both hand, and the grandchild was put in her hand, and she prayed one line prayer. Yesu Baba, I mean Jesus Christ, please heal this grandchild. And she put down the baby on the ground and left for her place in the jungle. A few minutes later, the baby got healed.
Wow.
And people came to know that leper lady has some kind of power because her granddaughter was about to die and she is healed now. There were many sick babies in the village. So they all carried those babies in order to get her prayer or this baby. And all the babies she prayed, they all got healed.
Wow.
And because of her faithful prayer to the Lord and the miraculous power God provided to her, all the babies got with 39 people baptized in that village, and that was our first church.
Right.
But it was the biggest lesson for us. We always look for method. We will look always for good man or big shot or the leader who will come to know the Lord. And it was God saying, it is my church. I will use lepers, scavenger, lowly, poor people. And we need to open our heart and mind and church so wide that these people can come inside.
All right. Where can people find out more about your ministry? Is there a website, or come to the service?
They can come to service.
Okay. Okay. He will be ministering this Sunday at the Brownsboro Community Church there in Eagle Point. And let me encourage you to go and find out. Maybe you could take a look for Din Bandhu. That's D-I-N and then B-A-N-D-H-U Ministries. And Nitin, what a delight to have you. And is this your first time to the United States?
I came many times, but first time in the studio and...
First time on television?
Television.
Well, welcome to TV.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm being blessed.
Well, what a story. And I just feel God with you and using you. And I just can't help but think that days to come will even be more fruitful for you.
Thank you, sir.
And your whole family's involved in your ministry?
Yes.
Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. Well, again, thank you. And let me encourage you, correspond with Brownsboro Community Church if you want more information, how maybe you can get involved and help them. And I would assume you want some sponsors for wells and things like that, whatever they want to do. So we'll get a hold of Pastor Rick Cook there, and you can make arrangements there through Brownsboro Community Church at Eagle Point. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, sir.
Well, there you go. A fascinating interview with Nitin Sardar, and fabulous work. Over 700 churches throughout India and growing. So, again, get a hold of Pastor Rick Cook there at Brownsboro Community Church for more information about perhaps joining their efforts there. Well, have you ever been concerned about getting medicine that might be fake? We're going to talk about that next with our guest coming up here on Focus Today.
If you love the taste of delicious homegrown garden tomatoes but hate bending, digging, and weeding, then you've got to get yourself off the ground and go upside down. Whoa, wait a minute. I don't mean you should be upside down. I'm talking about your tomato plants. I'm Mark Gill for the Topsy-Turvy Tomato Planters, the ingenious upside-down planter that lets you grow delicious tomatoes without bending, digging, or weeding. Topsy-Turvy hangs conveniently on any size porch, deck, patio, condo, or apartment balcony. Just insert your tomato plant, add your potting soil, and water. That's all there is to it. And right now, you can get the Topsy-Turvy for just $10. Plus, I'll even throw in a Topsy-Turvy strawberry planter as a bonus. But I'm not stopping there. Call right now and I'll double the offer. You just pay separate processing and handling. That's right, you get all 4 Topsy-Turvy planters for just $10.
To order Topsy-Turvy for $10 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-1641, or you can order online at topsyturvy.com.
Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Why are you still sitting on that couch? You know you could be out there cooking for a living. You speak food. That's why you got to call Le Cordon Bleu. They'll help get you out there with training in less time than you think. Sounds good, right? So grab your phone right now and call Le Cordon Bleu. They'll send you a complimentary career guide so you can see what it's really like to work in the culinary arts.
Call 1-800-761-0650 or text GOLCB25 to 94576. Call or text now.
Did you call yet?
There's one place you can go every morning for the latest information and weather. It's 11:30 now past the hour. We got some rain out there and heavy snow through the mountain passes.
Throughout the morning, we get your viewpoint on the world.
We've got the latest local and national news every quarter hour.
Well, in our news headlines today, there's optimism that home prices may stabilize.
And all the latest from the world of sports.
Get your day off to a great start.
Mornings on the Dove.
Every weekday from 6 a.m.
It's the best way to start your day.
Well, we're going to tackle a topic now that I think you find to be quite concerning, and we are delighted to have with us today Roger Bate. He is an economist who researches international health policy, and he's authored this book called Fake, The Deadly World of Falsified and Substandard Medicines. This is an incredible research resource for you, put out by AEI, which is the American Enterprise Institute for Public Policy Research. And I'm sure you can Google this and go online at Amazon or Barnes & Noble to get a copy of it. And I think you're going to find it to be very, very fascinating. Roger, what a delight to have you with us today.
It's great to be with you.
Wow, what a work. This thing is huge for what short time we have today. What drew you into checking all this out?
I was in Zimbabwe. I do a lot of international health policy, and I was in Zimbabwe in 2004 with a variety of different colleagues, and we were talking to researchers and doctors who were trying to combat HIV and malaria, and they started to realize that the drugs weren't working as they were supposed to be working, and we ultimately realized that that's because they didn't have the ingredients in them they were supposed to do. So
wow.
it was a baptism of fire, if you like. I suddenly realized that this was killing kids and adults alike because the drugs just simply weren't working.
All right, so what is considered a counterfeit drug?
Well, most definitions of counterfeit include the phrase, the kind of intention to deceive, so that it's lying about the provenance of the product, its source, and exactly what's in it. There are different definitions. In fact, definitional debates are one of the reasons why this isn't as combated as much as it should be. But ultimately, it's a deception. It's a fraud. And in some instances, it's not going to be that dangerous. In others, it can be directly lethal. But the biggest problem is for drugs that don't contain what they're supposed to contain. And if you've got malaria, it can kill you in a day. If you have a heart condition, you might have a heart attack if your drugs don't work properly. So it's a serious problem.
It's a worldwide problem, right?
Absolutely. We estimate about 100,000 people or more die every year from this. Often the evidence is swallowed literally, and we have no absolute ability to quantify the numbers. But most of those deaths occur in the poorest countries of the world. But the United States is not immune to this problem.
What is being done to police this problem? I mean, what kind of standards are being put into place, and how are we checking these counterfeit drugs?
Well, it depends where you are in the world. One of the biggest problems is that probably half the countries of the world don't make counterfeiting of a medicine a criminal offense, which means there's widespread trade in these products. Parts of Africa, although Africa actually in many countries has better laws in place, a lot of the Middle East and parts of Southeast Asia, it's not always a criminal offense. So that's a major problem. You know, the World Health Organization does what it can in terms of definitions, which is important to work out what is a problem and what isn't legally. Obviously, from a public health standpoint, any drug that doesn't work is problematic. The Food and Drug Administration in the United States, the Drug Enforcement Agency, and other kind of Interpol do combat this. But it's pretty tough because there are so many fake traders out there, and it's very difficult to tell the difference between a real and fake product. Anyone on a street corner buying, a Rolex watch or a Louis Vuitton purse is not really getting a Rolex watch or a Louis Vuitton purse for $20, but they're complicit with the trade. But when you're buying a medicine, your assumption is that it's going to work, that if it says it's made by Pfizer or an Indian generic company, it is made by one of those companies. In fact, a lot of the fakes are not made by legitimate pharmaceutical companies wherever you are in the world.
So how do these drugs get in the United States? I mean, to the point where they're even advertised on television and radio. I mean, it seems to be pretty blatant.
Well, there are numerous ways that they get into the kind of normal wholesale distribution system. You have to realize there are 4 billion prescriptions filled every year in the United States. So it only takes a very small, fractions of a percent to be filled with dangerous products for it to have a significant impact. They infiltrate the supply chain. The most recent case is of a fake Avastin. Avastin is an oncology product that came from Syria into Europe, into Canada, and into the United States. The product went to California, Texas, and Illinois, and as far as we know, didn't cause any harm, fortunately, before it was spotted. but it came in via a circuitous route from a trading operation based out of Canada, all of which the traders that I know have been interviewed say they had no idea that the product was fake. So it's a convoluted supply system. Most people don't even know where their products are coming from.
Wow. A lot of drug sales are made online, and I realize those are probably non-prescription drugs, but nonetheless, they are. That becomes the means of commerce. How safe are they?
The internet is a wonderful source for conducting this interview, for a starter, and I think a lot of the trade that goes on over the internet is extremely fine. But when it comes to pharmaceuticals, because you can't tell the difference between a fake pill and a real pill, at least it's difficult to do so. I can give some advice on that in a minute, but it's difficult to do it. So you have to go with a credentialing organization. You have to know that the site you're buying from is legitimate. And there are probably 10,000 web sellers of drugs out there. I know at least 8,000 have been analyzed by the National Associations of the Boards of Pharmacy in the United States. And probably 2% of them comply with most of the rules that you're supposed to. Some of them are out-and-out fraudsters. Others are just not licensed pharmacies. So if you are buying over the internet, make sure you go to the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy or pharmacychecker.com, which is a web credentialing organization, and pick one of the 50, 60, 100 websites that they recommend. Because if you do that, your likelihood of buying a bad drug is very low. It's not zero, but it's very low. If you just respond to a random email, spam email, or just pick a website at random, you're playing Russian roulette.
Now, so often, excuse me, when you go to the pharmacist, they'll say, do you want a brand or do you want a generic? Any problems with that?
Well, it's actually interesting. The quintessential problem in emerging markets is the faking of Indian generics because they tend to dominate the markets because they're very cheap. In the United States, most of the incidents that have been recorded have been of well-known brand products, fakes of things like Lipitor or Viagra or a variety of painkillers that are better known. And so it depends where you are, but any legitimate product will be faked. You have to put yourselves in the shoes of the counterfeiter and realize what they're trying to do, which is to make money. They will fake anything that can be sold in a market, and it depends on the market what they decide to fake.
Wow. So what are some common things we should be asking when it comes to this? Because the price of drugs today is so high, insurance is not covering everything. Everybody's looking for a deal. So I would imagine that just kind of fuels the problem.
Well, absolutely. I've seen counterfeit drugs and counterfeit soap, made from soap but not high-quality soap, faking a Johnson & Johnson's brand in India that was selling for like 20, 25 US cents. So if you realize that something that cheap can be faked, price is not the fundamental issue. It's opportunity cost for the counterfeiter. They're likely to get caught. So anything can be faked. But, of course, the more expensive products, you can make more money per unit faked. So you obviously want to try and do that if you're the counterfeiter. So, everything can be faked, but high price of drugs is an issue. And that's one of the reasons why people are buying online. And as I said, I have no problem with that, but they should be being careful and buying from one of those credentialed sites.
In your book, you even show some photos of some of these labs. I mean, this stuff, what are you getting in a fake drug? Are you getting poison?
Well, most instances of death caused by fake drugs, and not because the drugs kill you, it's just that the drugs don't treat the disease or condition you have.
Right.
But there are instances of really unhygienic products with bacterial or mold contamination. You have, in one instance that I'm aware of in Vancouver, actually, a woman died from heart arrhythmia caused by the heavy metal poisoning from the pills that she was taking. And the most common ingredients we found in the fakes were road paint, chalk, talcum powder, and acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, because it adds that nice sheen that all pills have, that kind of sheen that they have on them. So, anything can be in there, unfortunately.
Well, Roger, fascinating work. I wish we had more time to dig into it a little bit more, but his book really does. And let me encourage you to take a look at it. It's called Fake, The Deadly World of Falsified and Substandard Medicines by Roger Bate. Again, it's published by AEI, which is the American Enterprise Institute for Public Policy Research. I'm sure you can check it out at Barnes & Noble or Amazon.com and get a copy of it there. It's a tremendous resource. Roger, thank you for your work and for your conviction to get it right. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, and we'll see you tomorrow on Focus Today.